Hi, I'm Joel Bloom, president of New Jersey Institute of Technology. At NJIT, we believe that not only our students, but all citizens need to be informed about the issues facing higher education. As New Jersey's Science and Technology University, NJIT is proud to support the important programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Turrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, RWJ Barnabas Health, the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, and by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, founded by the Jewish community. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Family Magazine and NJFamily.com. And by Jaffe Communications, where business, media, and government converge in New Jersey.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
For us, the volunteers, the friends, our team, to be able to give back to them and give them a new beginning, like, I couldn't be happier that I'm a part of it.
It's an insane build. People are wanting to help, handing jobs off to volunteers. Everything is completely chaotic.
We gotta move, baby.
Oh my God. What happened to this room?
It's now the dining room.
Wow. Check out these two guys. I wasn't on camera. These guys are on camera. Anthony Carrino, John Colaneri. That was from, what was that from?
Cousins Undercover, HGTV days. That was great. Fun show.
Got it. The guys are the author of a book called What You Can Do with a Toolbox. I know that the answer for me is nothing. I could do nothing with a toolbox. You guys have an Ellen tube, Ellen DeGeneres. What's that deal?
Yeah,
so
we've done a bunch of stuff with Ellen. We've got a new series coming up with her on ellentube.com, which is her digital platform. So it's actually, the creative process has been a long time coming, but basically we're giving back to neighborhoods in need, but we're encouraging those people within those neighborhoods to help us help their own community. So you kind of teach people how to help themselves along the way, and then hopefully you're building an army of people that pay it forward down the line.
What's the idea of this book?
So the book, again, talking about what Anthony's saying about helping others. We've done so many construction shows. We've worked with a ton of people all over the country, and we said, you know what, it's time to really get kids involved. I would go into my wife's preschool class. I would teach the kids about tools. I bring my tool belt. They were so engaged, and my wife is like, you guys need to do this for children and actually write your own book. Stop reading other construction books. Do your own. Right. And I told Anthony, he's like, yeah, this makes sense. This is the perfect time to do this.
This is for kids?
Well, it could be for adults.
We've gotten some notes back that adults are getting benefit out of it as well, Steve, as you mentioned just before going on the air here.
I don't need you to disclose. Just because we're all Italian doesn't mean that I can speak for myself. I told you guys, I disclose a lot of things on the air, but I'll disclose this. I don't know exactly how to find a beam.
Yeah.
And you laughed. And you did. Okay, you ready? You said it's 16 inches apart. And
16 inches on center.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means. And you said something about a slap what?
Slap stud, yeah, at the end of the room.
What's that also?
I don't even want to try to ask what a slap stud is. But that goes to my point. I'm not the only guy. I'm not the only woman. I'm not the only adult out there who's like, huh?
Yeah,
I got to call somebody in for everything.
Yeah, you're far from the only guy. And that's really it, right? We don't want you to have to call somebody for everything. We're big proponents of calling professionals, electrical, plumbing. You don't want to
do damage.
Yes,
exactly
absolutely.
Right. Your home is arguably your biggest investment. You don't want this thing not operating properly. That said, being able to diagnose a problem on your own, being able to know whether you want an electrician, a plumber, or a handyman to come in. We had a question once. Said, we noticed that there's a lot of diversity on the cover, girls, boys. I said, when your water heater leaks, It doesn't care what color you are, what gender you are. That thing's going to piss water until it's drained out. So if you don't know where your water shutoff is, because you want to hit that before you dial the phone, you know, these are the things we want to start encouraging kids to understand. And I think through making it fun at a really early age and saying, hey, this is something, a tape measure's fun to play with, a hammer's fun to play with, getting that interest level up before the real knowledge comes along is a great way to start.
What's the app?
So there's an app that's called Novel Effect.
Novel Effect.
Novel Effect. It is truly magic. It brings the book to life. So I have a daughter who's 3 years old. She is the girl that is right in the center of the book with the little ponytail there. So she made the book as well. And I am a big proponent of not having too much screen time. I understand iPhones, iPads, they are in our lives, but it doesn't mean you stick it in front of the kid every single time. I want to be able to read a book to my daughter, but if technology is involved, great. Now with the app, what's cool about it is it listens in the background. You start the app. As I start reading the book, it's listening for keywords. So the phone's off. You can connect it to a Bluetooth speaker, comes out of your phone, whatever you want, and then things start to play. So you start to hear the hammer, you hear the screwdriver, you hear songs, things start to, our voices are in it, my daughter's voice is in it. It's really fun, and it just brings the book to life. And my daughter loves it. And I say it all the time, I say, well, how does a little kid that's 2 or 3 years old, they don't know what a hammer is. You know what a hammer is. Maybe you don't know how to use it well, but you know what it is. But once they hear the sound, they put 2 and 2 together. And
takes the mystery out of it?
It takes the mystery out of it. And they actually came to our construction site, and they taped us using those tools. So it's really cool.
Well, and I think on top of it, it's also like an imagination on steroids. So they're used to reading books with their parents. John does it with Lily every night. But that first time you hear the sound effects in the background, you don't expect it. Their eyes. I mean, when we go around and we do readings with kids at libraries or schools or wherever, and without fail, when those sound effects start, there's an engagement level that is unparalleled. So, you know, it's just, I think, when it is something like tools and something that takes some paying attention to understand what these different things do, every little bit helps, you know, focus the kids.
What's up with the podcast?
The podcast is the children's book for adults. The podcast is called Home with the Cousins.
Home with Cousins.
Home with the Cousins. You can search it on any podcast app that you use on your phone, or just go to homewiththecousins.com.
What's the format?
It's about half hour to 45 minutes. We do stuff where it's just me and John explaining different things, and then we do it where we bring in guests who are other professionals and they give us their take. But the linchpin of the podcast is it walks you through a major renovation of your home, from finding an architect, finding a general contractor, all the way through to the punch list at the end.
It's all there.
It's all there, and what we really want to get across is that you do not let people start making a mess in your home until you have crossed every T and you have dotted every I, because you are not in a position of strength. Once somebody starts working in your home, you are beholden to them getting done, and we want to make sure you have taken every step in the process prior to letting somebody do that.
Is that one of the biggest mistakes people make in renovating their homes, that they have it started? Because I'm one of those impatient people.
We all.
My wife was talking about getting a new couch. We can talk about a new couch in the living room. It's been there forever.
I think this is going to turn into a design session.
No, I'm ready for this. Seriously, she was talking about, I said, I want to get a new couch. She said, me too. So I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to pick a couch up. She goes, you can't go to the store and pick a couch up. She shows me a catalog. She shows me the couch. Sure. It's got to be. So I said, listen, I like that couch. I'm going to go get it. She goes, you can't do that. Why? We got to order it, and you got to have the right design. I go, no, I want that couch. And she, barred me from doing it. But the point I'm making is that some of us, I want it now. That's dangerous.
That is when you are doing a renovation, that's
a couch I'm talking about.
You're talking just a couch. But I'll tell you right now, and listen, learning from guys that have done this a long time, people, they buy a couch or they buy things that are large. How do you know that it's going to actually fit through your front door? How do you know that it's actually going to fit in the space that you're...
Those are details.
Oh, the details, no big deal.
I like the couch. I saw the couch. I want to buy the couch.
It's good.
And then you find out too late.
But that's the whole point when you're doing a renovation project. People watch television shows on HGTV. We've done so many of them now.
Yep.
Now, we are professionals that have been doing this for 15 plus years. We've made mistakes. We've learned from the mistakes. We are telling you what not to do. That's why we have the podcast. The biggest thing you can do is plan. When we do our shows, our last show, America's Most Desperate Kitchens, we did a kitchen. Steve, you ready for this? 3 days.
No, you didn't.
Exactly. You say impossible.
Because
we passed every inspection. We did
because it's expensive to make TV. You know that.
Okay.
They want it done.
But a lot of stuff had to be done beforehand.
We planned 2 to 3 months prior. We ordered everything. So when we got there on site, everything was there.
But people look and go, oh, you could do it in 3 days. If
you have a collective of 25 years of experience, if you've ordered your kitchen 8 weeks out, if you've got every dimension and you know the tolerances to leave yourself, so that if you need a little extra space, you've got it. You've got extra spacers for the kitchen. If you've counted all your hardware, you know what knobs you need, what pulls you need. Your countertops are taken care of. The flooring, you have to know every last detail. When we do that, that's in a truck outside. When we start, demolition is done in about 6 hours, and we put it all back together.
But this is the caveat. I'm not telling people to do their kitchen in 3 days.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying
we
that.
also have cleared it with city inspectors where they're on call so that we can get it done.
The message is?
The message is, maybe your kitchen that you say, well, when I do a kitchen, it takes me 3 months when my contractor told me a month. Well, why'd that happen? Did you pick everything out before he came there? Did you go over the schedule with him?
So it's all on the homeowner and not the contractor?
It goes both ways.
No, John's exactly right. It goes both ways, and it's for so long it's been the contractor. It's like, no, it's a two-way street.
But a lot of times we don't know what we don't know.
And that's why
the contractor has to inform you also.
But that's why we launched the podcast, because contractors in general have not been great at communicating, and the crux of the entire renovation is communication.
As it is in this program. You guys are good at this.
Thank you, sir.
You guys get along this well off
we've
camera
been,
as well?
We've been working together for a little while.
This has been a long time. You know, growing up in Franklin Lakes and Wyckoff, we went to high school together. I mean, this is
Bergen County guys.
Bergen County boys. That's it.
Doing well. Anthony Carrino, John Colaneri. What can you do with a toolbox? I'm going to read this with our kids. Hopefully I'll learn.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Well done. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
We are pleased to welcome Aly Richards, CEO of the Permanent Fund for Vermont's Children, and Rick Davis, President of the Permanent Fund for Vermont's Children. It's so good to see both of you.
You too, Steve.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Last time we saw you was in Vermont.
In Vermont.
Yeah.
I was honored to be part of a very important forum that was put together by the folks at the Terrell Fund. We are part of a series that you may have picked up at this point called Right from the Start NJ. You're going to see the website coming up, and that is a series that focuses on the issues and challenges and the opportunities connected to infants and toddlers. Up in Vermont, you've been doing this for a while.
We have. We've been at this, well, the Permanent Fund's been at this for 18 years. And really the motivation for getting started, really two things. One was it was a human equity issue, a fairness issue. And so I was working on restoring a block of buildings in Burlington's waterfront, and it was surrounded by a low-income area, and I got to know those families and the challenges they were facing and sort of the culture of poverty. And then I got to know the kids, and I watched these children grow up and have babies of their own. And I was able to hold these babies and see what beautiful babies they were and realize they had 2 to 3 strikes against them just because of the circumstances in which they were born. So that was one motivation, to create a level playing field for all children in Vermont. The second one is through 15 years of focusing on these issues, I saw that we weren't making major headway in issues of childhood poverty, the achievement gap that starts as early as 3 years old, special ed costs were continually increasing, and so there's no philanthropy or foundation at the time that was focused on lasting impact. And so there seemed to be an opportunity to do a different type of foundation that was focused on systems change.
Right.
And so that's what led us to where we are today.
But Aly, I'm curious about something. As I listen to Rick paint a big picture of it, I get curious about this. Your focus is birth to 5, right?
Exactly.
right from the start, and Jay is birth to 3. But talk about those early years. What makes them so critical in a child's development?
That's exactly the right question to ask, and it's why our mission is high-quality, affordable childcare for all who need it in Vermont.
Childcare.
By 2025. Childcare, high-quality, affordable, early childhood education. To us, it's the same thing. And the reason is because of the brain development. As Rick said, it's the ultimate level playing field. Because what happens in those crucial years, by age 3, 80% of the architecture of your brain is formed. By age 5, 90%.
Oh, age 3, it's 80%.
Yep.
Age 5, 90%.
Exactly. So what do we mean by brain architecture? Reading, writing, arithmetic. Yes, it's those things, but it's so much more than that. It's what we call social emotional development.
Oh, we're looking at a chart right there.
Exactly.
Break that down for us a little bit.
Exactly. So what we know about is this rapid neurological brain development, 1 million neurological connections a minute between age 0 and 3. So that's, again, what we call social emotional development, and it's skills like executive function, critical decision making, grit, perseverance. It's also the ability to regulate...
Conflict resolution.
Absolutely. Regulate emotion, ability to have stable, healthy relationships with other people. So you see that...
All in that period?
Absolutely. That's the most crucial time, and it's also these super indicators of success later in life. And it's also, again, those that enter kindergarten, not what we say, not ready to learn, are then those that go on to not be reading at grade level by grade 3, don't go on to graduate, don't go on to go into any post-secondary education. So the ultimate return on investment, if you go up the pipeline, is at these crucial time, including healthcare, mental health. You also are developing a resiliency against addictive behaviors and chronic disease. So this is the sweet spot, 0 to 5 in our view, and that's why the permanent fund, we focus so clearly on it.
But Rick, let's follow up on this in terms of public policy, in terms of focus, in terms of where we put our resources.
Absolutely.
Has that, both in Vermont, we're dealing with New Jersey, nationally, have we focused in the way we should, in the way Aly just laid this out, on these years?
Absolutely not, but we've made major headway. So the United States, this is a national issue, Steve, you probably know that, and the United States spends half of what the other industrialized countries are spending. It's
half.
Half. It's 0.35% of GDP. And in, say, in France and New Zealand and Sweden, they're spending 0.7%. And so we're way behind the 8 ball in national spending. The state of Vermont, we heard the governor he was on this week on our public radio saying we spend 90% of our education dollars on K through 12, 5% on higher ed, and only 5% on early childhood. And then he went on to say, and that is where we get the highest returns. So we've made progress with our governor. We've got a movement going in Vermont. Are you familiar with the research by James Heckman, Nobel Prize-winning economist, who, I'll tell you a little bit about it, but he did some studies based on your chart up there with brain development. And now they have the imaging now. They can image sections of the brain to know what goes into healthy brain development and what doesn't. And they can track the behaviors that create healthy brain development. And so he did an analysis on the cost savings and came up with this 13 to 16% return on investment, investing in the early years. And he shows a graph. And way up here is early childhood, the high return on investment. And it comes down like this when you get down to K through 12. By the way, K through 12 is really important. But, and by the way, what we're talking about with high quality early childhood development is a gift to teachers, because right now what they want to do is be able to teach something that they're great at, and that's why they're there. But if you talk to teachers now, they're having to triage social, emotional, and cognitive development.
Because these issues have not been dealt with.
Because they haven't been dealt with up front.
So Aly and Rick, thank you for joining us. Stay with us right here, and
thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back right after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We're pleased to welcome Claire Mitchell, director of Vayner Smart, which is
Well, we often talk about VaynerMedia as an agency built for the now, and VaynerSmart is the emerging technologies group that's looking a couple steps ahead where consumer attention is shifting, how consumer behavior is shifting in the current and upcoming time period.
Okay, so by the way, there's a little bit of a break in the Voice Summit. There are about 2,500 people. They're not even floating around here. They're in a major conference area where keynote speeches, panel discussions are taking place. Are you participating directly?
I'm not, just attending.
Well, not just attending, you're also
absorbing.
Meeting. Yeah. Why do you think so many people have come here to NGIT to the Voice Summit?
I think there's a lot of excitement about the opportunity in voice. We've, for decades, been increasingly absorbed into screens, and right now we're at the pinnacle moment where we can start getting away from that and designing new ways of interacting with digital information, and that's really powerful for convenience, for speed, for immediacy, and for new ways of communicating.
How many people do you think are using voice right now?
At this very moment?
Yeah.
Hard to say, but a few statistics that are thrown around from third-party survey data. The platforms themselves don't often give it out, but we do know
proprietary information.
Exactly. We expect that by 2020, 30% of all browsing sessions, web browsing sessions, will occur through voice. 50% of all search will be performed by voice by 2020, and that's pretty extraordinary.
Why do you think it's expanding so quickly?
Convenience. People are getting time back into their lives. It's so much easier to have a thought, an idea, a desire, and speak it and receive the information that you need rather than getting out a screen and
I know this sounds, sorry for interrupting, I know this sounds very old school, but a friend of mine happens to be an attorney. He was talking into his phone. He was sending text messages by voice. And I know what he was doing because I've obviously seen it before. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, it's very quick.
It is.
It didn't register for me.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, is there a psychological and emotional thing we have to go through? I don't want to make this overly analytical, but to go from, no, I need to send you this, Claire.
Yeah.
I need to text this to you. Or my wife, if I'm sending her something by voice.
Absolutely. I think as technology changes, there's a moment of sort of tension where users need to know what's possible and know that something's not going to break when they try it. Right now, even text, trying to vocalize your text, there's sometimes challenges in that. There's misinterpretations. But
there can be misinterpretations.
Better. Exactly.
When you're
that's true too.
Manually doing it.
Right. Automated.
Right.
Corrections, spelling corrections. But as the capabilities increase, the functionality gets better, automated speech recognition is improved, our behaviors change as well, and we get used to it, and we know that it's not going to break if we try it.
You know what's interesting, Gary Vee, by the way, if you want to check out our website, steveadubato.org, which our team will put up right now, check out several of the interviews we've done with Gary Vee. Tell everyone who Gary Vee is. Powerful stuff. Tell everyone who Gary is.
Incredibly charismatic entrepreneur who started out growing his family's business and has ultimately grown an 800-person agency that's international at this point.
And you're part of that team.
I am. I feel extremely fortunate. It's a very energetic place to be.
What do you think Gary and those who work with him, what do you think you see that some of the rest of us don't? And is that what you're trying to do a lot, which is figure out what do people want and or need?
In terms of like opportunities for brands and marketers?
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, well, on voice platforms in particular, I think brands and marketers are going to increasingly need to become more like product designers than advertisers. So
product designers,
exactly. So cultivating value, creating a long-lasting experience that isn't just an ad campaign, but actually provides utility on an ongoing basis.
So it's not simply transactional, it's more transformational?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. When we tell clients how they might approach voice, we often say, start with something that you're already an expert in. What value can you provide your customer, whether it's utility, entertainment, or instructional? There's got to be a reason for people to use your experience and to want to reach out.
How'd you get into this?
have a long and windy path. Started out in visual effects production.
Visual effects production?
Yeah, creative development side, so helping come up with the ideas and execute them. And then went back to grad school for design and technology, got into product design for IoT systems, and now I'm with VaynerMedia.
How fascinating exists to you right now, at this moment in this industry?
I think the most fascinating thing is to see the energy around it and to come to conferences like this and see how much people want to learn and absorb and contribute and transform the next couple of stages.
Exciting time.
Really exciting.
Do us a favor and give our best to Gary Vee. Tell him to come back.
Will do.
Claire Mitchell is, in fact, the director of Vayner Smart. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, NJIT, RWJ Barnabas Health, the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, and by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
I think at NJIT there are a lot of smart students.
I came to NJIT for mechanical engineering because with in-state, it's one of probably the top 3 schools for engineering.
It sort of creates a friendly competition where you can learn from them.
It's a great academic school.
I feel I'm being challenged, but at the same time, I love the classes I'm taking.
The atmosphere of being here is like being at an upstart company. It's that same kind of drive, that same kind of passion.